Today, my friends, we're going to be looking at 3 African-themed Smash Bros. Ultimate stages that I built in the Stage Builder. And those are specifically 2 based on African masks, as well as 1 that's based on the Black Panther movie. Alrighty, let's start the show. So our first stage today is based on an Ekpo mask, which means light mask, and the word Ekpo on its own means ancestor. This mask comes from the Ibibio people. I started making this stage many months ago, but I still remember the reason why I picked the stage. I was flipping through a bunch of my African art books, and I was just trying to figure out which one would be the best for a stage in Smash Ultimate. And I came across this one, and I was like, that would make for a great stage. There's a lot of space on top of there, as well as the fact that this would be easy enough to draw on Smash Ultimate's limited stage creator. Because those of you who've made stages in this game know how much of a pain in the ass it is to draw on this touchscreen. And I'm not sure if that's the touchscreen itself's fault or if it's more so the game's fault, but either way, it's not super easy to draw stages on here. Honestly, I think it is more so the game's fault than the touchscreen itself. But anyway, originally I had the stage move around, and by move around I mean it actually moved around the area, and in addition to that it also spinned around as well. The reasoning behind this was, in Africa, masks, with very few exceptions, are worn for dances, and therefore the proper way to see an African mask is not as a stationary object in a museum, but rather the proper way to see an African mask is to see it in motion in a dance. So that's why I thought it'd be a cool idea to have this mask move around the stage. However, having such a large and complicated object move in the game causes a ton of glitches, apparently. Every time they make a stage creator in Smash, there's always some issues. Sometimes you can get glitches even with stationary terrain, for fuck's sake. But yeah, characters were often going through solid parts of the stage, and the thin vertical areas I intended as passageways didn't work in motion for whatever reason. Those platforms, by the way, in between the vertical areas, are meant to look like the ropes that tie the parts of the mask together. Obviously, I sort of loosened them so that they could become, passageways. And the huge actual walls of the stage, for whatever reason, became unsolid. And it's not just because of those warps, because I know in probably part of this footage you'll see someone warp into it, but it's not even just that. Sometimes the stage just becomes completely unsolid, for whatever reason, and obviously the motion has something to do with that. Anyway, so this is a new version that you're looking at right now, which only moves very, very subtly vertically, and I feel that this new version plays much better, though I'm still not sure if I want to keep those warp points in there. Anyway, let's talk more about culture facts, shall we? The Ibibio, like the Igbo people we've discussed in a previous video, create light and dark themed masks. In fact, nearly all of the peoples who are neighbors of the Igbo have a tradition of light and dark Beauty and Beast type of masks. Oral tradition suggests that the Igbo were the ones who originated this light and dark masking theme, though the matter has yet to be totally confirmed. It's still a disputed kind of thing. Now, despite the shared origin of these masquerades of these various cultures, there are in fact changes to the tradition to make them unique to each individual culture, such as the visual style and precise meanings of the masks. In olden times, all Ibibio men belonged to the Ekpo masking society, and it was the duty of this society to gain the favor of the ancestors in order for them to bless the community. And to do this, they would dance in honor of the ancestors. The light masks came out during the day to honor the recent dead and during annual agricultural festivals. They danced slowly and gracefully and were considered morally righteous and beautiful. The Ekpo embodied the souls of people who in life were virtuous and productive members of society. They are not named ancestors, however, but are instead representative of all the souls of the community who led a positive life and therefore will have a positive effect on the living world. One little note I feel like making before we go on to the next stage is that you'll notice that the CPU players really don't know how to handle custom stages. That's both true in this stage and even more so in the next stage. It's just how it is. Unfortunately, the CPUs weren't programmed to really deal with the sorts of different objects and terrains that you can put in a custom level. So yeah, obviously these stages would work a lot better with human opponents. But of course I'm not trying to have any get-togethers with friends to play Smash right now because we're still all living in a pandemic.
And now it is time for the Ibibio Ekpo, the Dark Masks.
Indeed, this stage we're on now is based on the Ibibio Dark Masks, which embody corrupt, ugly, and evil souls who, upon death, were sentenced to eternal ghosthood. In contrast to the Mphon Ekpo, the Ibibio Ekpo appear only at nighttime. The dance of these masks are wild and erratic, intended to inspire fear in those who witness them. Some of these masquerades will even shoot out arrows randomly in the air to bolster their chaotic nature. A lot of dark masks are sculpted with distorted facial features. These designs are thought to represent various tropical diseases, such as leprosy, for example. The Ibibio believe that such deformities await those who consistently commit crimes. Sadly, many of the exact names and meanings of the Ibibio masks have been lost to history. As for my Dark Mask stage here, it's definitely not an easy stage to fight on. Once you leave that top part, it's hard to find your footing. Though I mostly tried to stay faithful to the mask design, the hair looks a bit anime-esque, but still very messy and unkempt. And since the editor doesn't have a spike option, like Smash Brawl did, I made the teeth out of lava. As for why I added some cannons to the stage, well, I figured they added a nice extra bit of chaos into the mix, which of course fits within the theme of the mask. And it's not like we have arrows that I could put in, so instead of bows and arrows we got cannons. Though originally I actually had these cannons rotating around, but that made the stage a little too chaotic and difficult to deal with, so I dialed it back a bit. Now, I believe in the past I have publicly stated that I believe stories nowadays shouldn't use the whole cliche of dark and light, you know? But that statement has no bearing whatsoever on these traditional African masquerades, because these masquerades are so old they predate the word cliche in the first place. And I certainly have enjoyed some stories in the past about battles between light and darkness, like, for example, the old Final Fantasy games or even Star Wars. But we're in the 21st century now, and I feel like, hey, maybe writers should try to be a little bit more original. Maybe come up with more nuanced stories than just, hey, light and darkness, you know? But again, and I can't stress this enough, this is not a criticism of these old African masks. In fact, I think it's pretty cool to see this light and darkness motif within an old traditional masquerading context. The final stage we'll be showing today is based on the battle arena in the Black Panther movie. For those of you who don't remember, it's the area in the movie where T'Challa fights M'Baku and later on fights Killmonger for the throne. Now, for those of you who would like to learn about the African cultural facts that are found within the Black Panther movie, I will redirect you to some of the other Black Panther videos I did, which actually do cover all that educational information. This part of this video, in particular, is more so just a bonus, you know, just a bonus on top of everything we've already talked about. Now I just felt like, you know, making a Black Panther stage because it's cool. It's a cool looking area of the movie, and I thought it would make for a really good Smash stage. That's pretty much it. Having said all that, I do actually intend to make more videos about the Black Panther, covering more of the cultural facts that can be found within the film, because I haven't covered everything yet. And of course, eventually I will also do videos about the next Black Panther movie, and in addition to that, I plan to do some videos about the Black Panther comics. In fact, I've already done one of those, and I hope to get around to doing some more of them in the future. Anyway, let's talk about the stage itself. So as you can see, I was trying to recreate that waterfall area, as well as the cliffs with the platforms suitable for people to stand on. And originally I was actually putting in little tiny things that was supposed to represent those people standing on the cliffs, but it was so simplistic that it was just kind of silly. Basically, they looked like circles on top of a triangle border, because that's all you can really manage on the Smash editor if you're working on such a small scale. Like, there are bigger scale Smash stages with actual characters, but that's when you have a stage where the entire stage is a character. When you try to make a little small person in a Smash stage, it's just not going to happen. So I didn't bother with that. As for the water itself, well, there isn't water that you can use in a Smash stage, so instead I put in ice, and to create the flow of the water, I put in the wind effect. So even while you're standing on the water, there's still a subtle wind effect pushing the characters. And once you're on the edge, the wind effect massively pulls you down, making it much harder to recover. Oh, and the little wooden decorations you see in the background is supposed to be drums, because I remember in the movie there was at least one dude holding a talking drum, so I decided to throw that in as a decorative element. Last thing I want to mention is I'm not one of those fans who want all sorts of random ass characters in Smash. I don't want characters like Goku and Superman in Smash. So I'm not making this stage to advocate for Black Panther's inclusion in Smash. No, I think the Smash community would prefer for Smash Ultimate to stay simply video game characters. That's the core, and that's what it should be. This isn't fucking Fortnite where they just have whatever the fuck in there. Smash Ultimate, on the other hand, is meant to be the ultimate video game character crossover. I just felt like making a stage from Black Panther. That doesn't mean that I want any superhero characters in the game, though. Though if you do want to play some superheroes in a fighting game, including Black Panther, then I recommend playing the Marvel vs. Capcom games. They're pretty awesome, and they play very much like Street Fighter.